James, I think you're muted.
Yeah, James.
What? Oh, apologies about that. Hi, this is the talkbacks to the Misanthrope. I promise I will not be muted for the rest of it. Um, I'm joined by co-dramaturg Coover. Um, I'm joined by our tech expert Patrick, and I'm joined by our wonderful actor Mallory. So, um, if anyone has any questions at all, just feed them into the chat, and our moderators will feed them to us. But just to start us off, Mallory, what? Can you not hear me?
Oh, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. I apologize then. I couldn't hear you guys, and I saw your mouth moving. So to start us off, Mallory, I was wondering, the language of the play is so precise. How was it how was it to adapting your own personal language into this proto-French that we're speaking during the play?
That's a great question, and I can tell you it was really, really hard, um, because it is in prose. Everyone said it was in prose. It was rhyming scheme and all these complicated the language that not a lot of us speak. So on top of it, you not only have these words that you're not familiar with, you also have um, this rhyming scheme that we're all talking in, and it kind of makes you sound like a really fancy French Dr. Seuss. And it got kind of hard to be taken seriously. So after a while, you kind of have to be like, no, these people talk like this, and they're very serious, and what's going on. It took a lot of practice to not be rhyming my day away like a song or anything.
I understand where you're coming from. I I really like how everyone leaned into the performance instead of pulling back from it. Um, I think everyone's inflections by taking this, as you said, like sounding like a Dr. Seuss, they took it seriously and they put themselves into it, and that's what made it feel like you guys were in this French society way back when.
It was interesting to say the least to try to put yourself in the perspective of this French society, but it's also updated into modern day. It was complicated, and it took all of us a while to kind of figure out that happy medium of what do we keep that represents the language very well, and what do we adjust so it fits the format as well as the day. And it was a lot of fun, to be honest with you. It was a challenge. The director was super, super helpful, but
Hmm.
like anything, it takes practice.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Hmm. Coover, do you have any questions for Mallory or Patrick?
Um, yeah, I actually have a question for Patrick. When you were going through like making the social media edits and just like sort of waving it all in there, how did you like sort of work around like maintaining the idea that this was all just like one big Zoom call and it was all just everyone sort of like working together? How did you like try and keep that intact? Yeah, and that sounds pretty. You executed it amazingly, and that was very well done.
So for both Mallory and Patrick, like we were talking about the social media aspect that we inserted into this. Mallory, how did you feel as an actor seeing an extension of your character like interacting without your input, if that makes sense?
Honestly, I really loved it. I thought that every time I saw something new popped up, I'm like, that is exactly what she would say. That is
Mhm.
exactly how she would react. She would not have a happy bone in her body. Um, and I just thought it was really cool. Like, it was something I wasn't expecting. And to see that come up for the play, I'm like, oh, that's really cool. And I never thought of doing that. And I thought Patrick was a genius in putting it all together. I thought it was amazing. Kind of really like an out of character experience, I guess you could say, watching my character
Mhm.
text.
And Patrick, I know you said that you relied some on the dramaturgs. How deep did they go into this process, and how much of it was from your, like you said, genius mind? It was honestly one of the most like enjoyable experiences to just like to see it come up. And I think everyone can relate to the idea of scrolling through your social media feed to find the drama and just having it like given to you is such a satisfying experience. Oh, we actually have a question coming in. Sorry to cut you off, but uh, what surprised you in this process? And I feel like we can get an answer from either Patrick or Mallory. Interesting. Mallory?
I'm not gonna lie to you guys. The most surprising thing is that I got cast to begin with. Uh, I was like, oh me, wait, what? Uh, the most surprising thing was how how quickly the cast kind of was able to relate to themselves, like relate to each other. Seeing it in this format, it's very hard to kind of be like, kind of make friends when you're not physically like in a room or in a rehearsal space together. So it's amazing that we were actually able to create friendships together and then create this amazing piece that was from hundreds of years ago to now. It's just kind of like a great big artwork of all of us together. It's incredible.
What you said actually leads into another question that we got asked. Um, how was the online rehearsal? And I think you said you guys were never in the same room.
Uh, we were in the same Zoom room, but not in the same physical room.
Right, right.
So yeah, so there was never any time where we were all together in like a physical room on campus in Oswego. It was always on the computer. It was always in separate locations all over counties in New York. Um, so yeah, we were never in one space, but we were all together somehow. It's a freaky realization that we all have to come to at this moment, but
Hmm. Did it ever like because your character was romantically involved with another character? How did it affect the tension or the chemistry that you personally as the actor had with the other actor?
I can tell you right now, it was really hard
Hmm.
trying to figure out how the characters would interact, seeing as like typically on stage you would see them being touchy or they're
Hmm.
flirting very obviously. Oh, she's gracing his arm. Like on stage, it's a very different way to present flirtatious things. So to present it through the camera and then try to build that relationship with the other actor to kind of get that across did take some practice with the director to be like, oh, what if we did this or what if she reacted like that. Um, it did take a lot of work, and me and Kiernan did get it down. Um, like I said, practice. It was odd coming into it. I questioned it myself, but
Hmm.
eventually I think we made it work.
I would definitely say that you guys did. There was a very, I guess the way that I can personally relate it is imagine a FaceTime between two people. It felt like this felt very personal. Uh, and that personality that was added to it really transformed this work into its own thing. And I think all of you guys did a really good job with that. Um, Especially Patrick. Another question geared towards you. When you were in the editing process, what was your ideas for how the play should be laid out and any additional effects that you and the director wanted to add in, you discussed about, like what was the process there? Hmm. it's really interesting to see this evolve into like almost a genre in of itself. Um, and while I hope that this eventually ends and we can go back to like in-person acting, I would never be upset to see another production similar to this with like the same ideas and concepts. Oh, got another question from the chat. What role did research play for the actors? Mel, you being a stealth dramaturg in this production, how did it feel being the researcher and the one to use the research?
Useful. I thought it was very useful. I said, well, if I'm gonna double down on both these roles, being a dramaturg and an actor, I might as well do the research I know I'm gonna use. So it just kind of felt useful to also have my dramaturg team with me to kind of help me navigate with the rest of the cast how to translate everything that's unfamiliar to us. And I personally thought, well, I'm in the rehearsal room every night, so I might as well help out my fellow actors as well and work on character pages as well as French Society pages
Mhm.
on the Dramaturgy Hub. It it was stealthy. Everyone usually forgot that I was a dramaturg in the room, and then I'd be like, actually,
I remember I
this
was
is
there.
actually on the Dramaturgy Hub."
You saved me a couple of times when I didn't have an answer. Um,
I was furiously typing into Google.
um, so how was it? Because you're also like you're not a part of a different team. You're in the in between two. So how was it like writing things for other actors? Like how did you feel about that one?
I'm not gonna lie, it felt kind of odd. It felt like I was like crossing lines that I didn't shouldn't cross as a fellow actor. Because part of the dramaturgy is like, oh, so this is what this means, so you should present it a little bit differently than how you have been, just so it comes across more clear. And then other parts of me is like, don't tell a fellow actor how to do. Like, what are you doing? Um,
Hmm.
so it felt like I was crossing lines that typically actors don't cross. Um, but I think everybody, all of my fellow actors in the room, and the director as well as the assistant director, were all like, no, dramaturg it up. You're fine.
I think that adds to the overall feeling of camaraderie that I personally felt whenever I was in a rehearsal, especially towards like the end of it when everyone was on their stride and everyone had that chemistry with each other. Hmm. All right. One more question. What was it like as an actor, Mallory, seeing yourself being recorded after the play was done? And not from a someone has a camera in the backstage, like in the back of the audience kind of way that most plays are recorded, but are literal like close up on your face. How would that make you feel as an audience member?
At first, I was gonna be scared. I'm like, oh, it's gonna be bad close up. I'm gonna look so bad. I'm gonna hate my voice. It's gonna be bad. But honestly, I didn't mind as much as I thought I would. Um, Watching it, I felt like I wasn't watching myself. I felt like I was watching Arsenaway. I wasn't
Hmm.
watching somebody have a random recording of me. It felt like I was watching somebody completely different, and that mindset definitely helped me watch the whole show. Uh, Instead of like judging myself too harshly, I'm like, oh, this character is a piece of work. Uh, so I took it much better than what I was expecting to.
Hmm. That's good to hear. And I'm really glad that you weren't made uncomfortable by the process because some people are genuinely like a bit weirded out by seeing themselves on the screen. Oh, we have another question from the chat. Uh, Patrick, what is the future of online performance and streaming in your opinion? Hmm, interesting. I really do agree. I think theater has a very long road ahead of it before it gets completely accessible, like this is. Like a normal production will have ticket limits, they'll have a maximum capacity. So it really is great to just be able to have like a link that you can go to and watch it, and your mom who's all the way across the state or all the way across the country can watch you act in the same clarity that your roommate can watch you act from the comfort of their own like screen. And I think that's really wonderful. Um, all right. We have about a minute or so left. Um, I'm not necessarily seeing any more questions. I think this might be a good chance to wrap it up. Um, Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for answering my questions and the chat's questions in such wonderful ways. Um, this has been the Misanthrope Talkback, and I hope everyone has a really good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.